We're now talking Jeffrey Epstein. He is sitting in jail awaiting trial on new charges. Judge said no bail this time. Meanwhile, authorities are asking serious questions about his treatment the last time he was convicted. He was behind bars the first time. This week, a judge denied the registered sex offender bail. He is accused of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls. His so-called sweetheart deal of a decade is now in the spotlight from decades ago. A Florida sheriff has ordered an internal affairs investigation. He wants to find out if anything by authorities back then in 2008 and 2009 violated any rules. Jeffrey Epstein served a 13-month jail sentence during that time related to charges that he ran a sex trafficking ring involving girls as young as 14. While he was serving what many say was an extremely lenient sentence, he was allowed to leave jail for work and be out between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., so essentially sleeping in prison, not staying there during the day. Defense attorney Monique Pressley joins me now from Washington to discuss. Monique, a lot to go through here, and many are still perplexed about the Florida case and wondering how a man convicted of 2 charges of soliciting prostitution gets to leave jail. Had you ever heard of that before?
Well, frankly, there are many who are convicted of soliciting prostitution who never see a jail. The issue here is that these charges were magnified by contact or alleged contact with minors. So what should have happened and what you would hope would happen is that that would be taken seriously and that there wouldn't just be state charges, which is what ultimately his plea involved, but also the attendant federal charges. Because some sort of deal was worked out, he ended up only with the state charges, and then from there there's that type of flexibility that I hate to say, if you dig and figure out how many people are getting these deals, you'll find much more than would make people comfortable these days.
So you don't think, Monique, there's any going back to, let's say, 2008, 2009 and pressing charges for the people surrounding that particular case? Because many are saying, look, it's because of his finances that he was able to get that deal, but you say not so?
Well, the fact of the matter, and I've said it for a long time, unfortunately, is that sometimes in this country, it's how much justice you can pay for. And prosecutors have broad discretion in terms of what they decide to charge and in terms of what the sentence can be. And if they get a judge to sign off on it, then that's where we are. And frankly, it would be unjust and unfair to the accused, Mr. Epstein, to go back and revisit it. And then the prosecutors, if they didn't do anything that was outside of the guidelines or outside of the confines of the law, then no, there aren't going to be any charges brought. But you do see that some are facing other types of consequences because of the complete lack of trust and complete lack of approval of American citizens on the way this case was handled initially.
And were you surprised that the judge gave his opinion in terms of bail, saying, look, I don't think you can control yourself, because the attorney said, pick your price for bail, we'll even hire private security guards?
Now, I frankly feel like that cuts both ways. First of all, the judge is 100% right here to deny bail. This is someone who's obviously a flight risk, and alleged victims are saying that they would be harassed if he's out. They would stand a greater chance of that. And the judge is saying that there's a danger to the community because of this last part, that it doesn't seem that he can control himself. But if I was his attorneys, I would use that, because that points to someone who has perhaps an addiction problem, a medical problem, and that's going to work its way into his defense ultimately if he decides to once again try to negotiate his way outside of the justice system.
And is there a statute of limitations here, meaning can some of the underage girls at the time, now young women, come and speak at this trial saying what he did to them if it is the same person charging?
Well, absolutely. There are some things, if it hasn't been charged yet and if there hasn't been an attendant sentence yet, then it's not too late. And there actually is a protection for younger women. Now it's case determinative because it matters whether they actually were aware of the fact that a crime had been committed against them at the time, whether they had some memory of it later that causes it to be ripe for prosecution. Now, all of these things are going to come into play. And it seems like there are more states than Florida and New York where we're going to watch these cases unfold.
Monique Pressley, thank you so much. I know we have a long way to go with this one. It's just the beginning of this second trial. We shall see. Thanks so much for your input.
Thanks for having me.